connection, 1, 2, 3. From here, you can start connecting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another podcast. This might probably the first podcast where I'm talking to a guest directly on Musa Obed podcast. I'm so excited to be publishing this. And just in case you start listening to the podcast and you notice that there are some like comments, like video, etc. Originally, this podcast was recorded as a video and was supposed to be published on YouTube together with the video, but because I'm not yet ready for that, I've decided to just publish the audio because I think the entire conversation can still be understood fully. And yeah, I think the conversation with Fumi Ajala, who is the person I'm talking to today, is so rich that I believe anybody listening to it like right now will get so much, especially if you're interested in like marketing, or even working with government, as you will see or as you will hear. Fumi worked as a senior special assistant to the Ekiti State First Lady, that is Fayemi's wife, in 2008, between 2018 2022. Aside that, she has a lot of like professional experience when it comes to the digital space and just the media space generally. We met when we were at she had just finished studying her masters at IE Business School, so it's made it very interesting in many layers. Anyways, that's all. Just notice and so that you know what you're heading yourself into and what you're listening to. If you like this conversation, just be sure to check out like all the other conversations. If you want to hear my conversations with my friends, that is called, you will see with SDK by the side. If you want to listen to conversations where I am talking by myself, they are without with, technically speaking. But I hope you have fun and I hope you have a wonderful day as you listen to this. Oh yeah. One last thing. I promise, last thing, and then you can listen to the conversation. If you like this recording, if you like the way it sounds, you should check out Word Podcasting. They are the ones that literally like did the entire audio stuff. So if you're interested in podcasts and you want to do that, do it. They are very good, very affordable as well. So, just send them a message. All right, now I'm leaving you. Bye bye. All right. This might, depending on what video comes first, you might be the first in my new podcast, which for me is amazing. But yeah, so we are currently at a church basement, a very interesting place to be. And I wanted to have this conversation with you, Fumi. You introduce yourself, but I wanted to have this conversation with you because I think 3 Sundays back we spontaneously started talking, and I don't know, it was just so deep at once. And I was like, yeah, we have to like have a recorded session.
Oh my god.
So let's just start from the beginning. This, like, we'll go into different layers, like your
Okay.
career progression, like you as a woman, etc.
Oh my god.
You
I
in
know it's
Nigeria,
about me.
you in Nigeria, and you outside Nigeria.
Yeah.
But first of all, like, yeah, so like your name,
Okay.
basics, your background,
Okay.
all of that.
So my name is Oluwafunmilayo Ajala. People call me Fumi for short because I think my name is quite a mouthful. And I am a PR and comms professional. I've worked in government. I worked as a media, in capacity of a media advisor, public affairs person in government. Design a digital transformation for a state, like information wise, digital media transformation for a state in Nigeria. And over the years, different aspects of governance, I've done different things. So I'm a producer, a writer, a PR comes. I'm a photographer. Yeah, I'm a visual storyteller. So I'm one person in many things. So I'm what you refer to as a multi-potentialite. So yeah, so my background is I'm a computer science graduate for first degree.
Computer, don't tell media. Okay.
I'm a computer science graduate for first degree, and then I had my
Which university?
I actually did my HN in Yaba Tech, Great
Okay.
Yaba. So then I was looking for
Sorry,
a
let me
job.
just interrupt. The longest time I've ever stayed in Lagos, I went to visit my friend. His name is Toby. He was my head boy in my school.
Okay.
My auntie I think was in Ikoyi.
Okay.
In front of Obalende. That's Ikoyi.
Yeah,
So
around
Ikoyi.
yeah,
that EFC. I don't know Lagos, but like I stayed in Lagos, I think for about a week. So I wanted to like experience like the whole downfall. I'm an Abuja boy. Like these things are tourists for us. Tourists. We went to do tourists in downfall. So I actually went there, and I don't know that like Unilag and Yawatek actually like beside each other.
They're not so far from each other.
And I was like, why?
You have about 3 different streets. And in between, you have the College of Technology, actually. So immediately you leave the gate of Yaba Tech, the next educational gate you're getting is this technical college.
Okay.
That's the technical college where you have people really doing practical trainings, which is basic for here. And then 2 streets away, because you have there's this popular cemetery, then the other street leads you straight to Yaba, to Unilag. So that is it. And not forgetting, Lagos is a place that doesn't really have land like that. So I think when the schools were there were not so much population around this area, so people built around them.
So it attracted the people.
No, people actually built, because where you have students, you have population, so it's potential for real estate.
Yeah, but you have 3 now. I mean, no wonder that like now it makes sense why perhaps all the biggest fintech, like even CC Hub, we'll get to CC Hub soon, but
because students are around that
there
area,
in mainland and not island.
Because that's where you have the educational hub. If you want to attract people, students are always looking for cyber cafes. They're always looking for a whole lot of things. So
were you looking for cyber cafe?
I actually did my IT in cyber cafe.
Oh, you did
IT?
Cafe, oh wow.
So that was like going to
on the mainland.
Yeah, of course. I lived in Festac. I grew up in Festac. So
how far is I'm an Abuja boy. How far is Festac from Yaba?
Festac from Yaba, it's about almost 2 hours.
2 hours
in traffic, but without traffic, it's.
Teach me the geography of Lagos. Sorry. So is it closer? Is Festac closer to Ikeja?
No, it's actually not within any one of those ones. So Festac is like you're going towards Badagry.
Oh, okay. So you're nearly on the border of.
Yeah, no, but it's still far from Badagry. So from Festac to Badagry, it's in between. So like we have a more and so like the main estate. So this is how Lagos actually evolved.
Okay.
So when I was growing up, Festac was because of Festac 77.
So you were born around Festac and you grew up in Festac?
I was born in Kwara State.
Okay. So let me keep quiet. Just continue. Continue how you want to do it. Yeah, okay.
I was born in Kwara State, but I grew up in Lagos.
All right.
Went to school in Lagos, then left and went to another state to work, and then so I'm always like moving around. So like I think I'm alive. At a point I lived in Abuja for a while.
Okay.
So I think
Abuja is better. Don't it's okay, we know. It's okay. Don't answer. Don't frustrate the Lagos people. We know.
So in total, I think I lived in about 4 states. Like
Nigeria.
Lived about 4 to 5 states in Nigeria. So
what was your favorite? Abuja. It's okay. Continue.
In both states has their pros and cons.
This diplomatic response.
There's some things I love about Abuja, but there's some things I will always love about Lagos. And so
So what are the pros of Abuja and Lagos?
So the pros of Abuja is Abuja used to be, mind my word of used to be.
So put a timestamp on the used to be. When did it stop being?
So I think Abuja
so that we will know.
Abuja stopped being a very sane city in I think around 2016, 2018.
Lagos people started entering. Yes, they started entering.
Wait, what do you think was going to happen when you moved all the federal ministries from Lagos and you moved them to Abuja and people are supposed to come and work? Where are they supposed to
No, but like a lot of the ministries have offices still in Lagos.
No, they are barely existing. In case you don't know, Federal Secretariat in Ikoyi is a ghost house. It has been there for God knows how many number of years. So they barely exist. So the point is
it the Federal Secretariat that's close to the EFCC?
Yeah,
that's where I stayed.
That's the EFCC, the haunted massive.
I was confused with that building. It was so It was like a ghost. Yeah, okay, okay.
Haunted ghost
Okay,
studios.
yeah.
That was where they moved most of them back down to. So the ones you have, the Lagos office barely exists for most people, except the ones that were doing things that really is around the southwest region. That was like the
So
main
customs
thing.
and stuff.
Kind of
Okay.
like things. So all those kind of things.
Okay.
So that makes sense. That's why you have influx of people into Abuja. And then another thing with Nigeria.
Yeah, but still, Lagos people still came. No, I'm just trying to say that the sanity left when
really
Lagos.
Want us to go to the fact that the people that helped you build the economy in Abuja are Southwesterners. You really want us to go there? Like when you talk about.
By the way, I was not born in Abuja before it sounds like I was born in Abuja.
So let me go. You really digress this our conversation.
I'm sorry.
I went to Yamatech. Then from Yamatech, I did my postgraduate in Pan-Atlantic University in journalism. And now I just finished my master's last year in corporate and marketing communications from the prestigious IE University.
Is it prestigious?
It's number 8 on the QS ranking for 2020.
I understand the QS ranking from your personal opinion. What are your feedback from being an IE student? We're currently in Madrid, by the way, just in case. What are your opinions of IE?
Well, there were reasons why I came to IE. One being
they're very diplomatic. I understand. Go ahead.
One being the practical learning methods, the methodology. So
is it case by case, or what do you mean?
Yeah, we always do like different case studies for different.
Okay.
And then for my project, we didn't. I didn't want to write thesis or something, so we did a capstone project where you get to work with a real life company.
Okay.
So we did that. We worked with a company for 4 months to develop their
in Madrid.
Yeah, in Madrid to develop their
a PRA company.
No, funny enough, I was given a pharmaceutical company. My team and I. So we worked with Gilead Sciences.
Okay.
To develop a communication strategy.
So you also have a pharma hat somewhere.
It was communication, like develop a communication strategy to help them bridge the gap between doctors and HIV patients, which is quite an interesting project.
What do you mean by bridge the gap between doctors and HIV
patients? So what happened in that aspect for them? It's there were different things around doctors and their patients. So the stigmatization kind of a thing. It's a bit the trajectory here is not very okay. So already first, when you get to the hospital, when you're looking for where you want to do your HIV test or where HIV patients are treated, they'll tell you to go to the infectious disease area. Already that labeling, it's already putting fear in the mind of whoever has HIV.
But is that not what it is?
HIV, between HIV and cancer, which one do you think is more manageable and is better to live with? Just answer me. Between HIV and cancer.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
So let me explain to you. HIV is one of the easiest things to live with because you have treatments, you have to take your drugs, you have to take. So it doesn't kill per se. It doesn't kill you.
Okay.
You just need to be.
That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. By the way,
you just need to be more aware of how to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But with cancer, you really like it can metastasize. Like you see someone today, in 3 months, the person is gone.
But is cancer in that department or in the hospital?
No, which is very funny because the cancer is going to be in the oncology department. It's in a different area. It's in the oncology section of the hospital. Mm-hmm. So for HIV, I've seen someone that lived. I think when I was working with the state AIDS control, SACA, in the state where I worked last, we had this. I kind of like got involved with the person, and I was doing comm strategy for them. So we're trying to do some documentations around doing documentary around people living with HIV, how they've lived long and stuff.
Yeah.
So they have someone that's lived with HIV for almost 40 years.
Wow. Mm-hmm. From the time he contracted till his death.
He's not dead. He's still alive.
Okay.
For almost 40 years.
So he must be pioneer HIV. Sorry.
For almost 40 years. Yeah. So that was the project I worked on. So that's
Okay.
one of the reasons why I chose IE, the practical learning process, the
Okay.
whole
Okay.
thing, and then because everything is like a year, so yeah, which was why so it gave me a different perspective of learning, and I saw a different kind of thing, and it's an international experience as well. So it
How
was
many nationalities were in your class?
Oh, my class had, I think we had 18 nationalities.
18.
Yes,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. So we're about 41 in my class. So my stream was divided into two. We're about 82. So there's 41 in my class, 41 in the other class. So we had about 18 nationalities. And
But did you guys enter at the same time? It was like fall and spring
no, we
missions.
all going. So you all go in the same
Okay.
set.
Okay.
You go in the same set, but they divide your class into
It's
two.
2 years.
So no,
One
it's
year.
1 year. It's
Okay.
just
Okay.
everything is just actually not 1 year. It's about 10 months. So
Okay.
that's what it is
That's
supposed
a
to be.
sprint. Okay.
Yeah, it's a sprint, it's marathon. So they tell
Yeah.
you when you're coming to IE, you can all work and school at the same time. So you
Yeah.
have to be because it's very intense actually. Yeah. So you
Mhm.
have a lot of case studies, you have projects, you have things and stuff like that that's going on every now and then.
So we're talking about we just finished IE. We have moved in case you don't
Like
notice.
Musa has really digressed on this thing. Like this is conversation has no agenda. Musa, let's do agenda. Let's hear what next.
Okay, let's finish with Yabatek.
We're done with that.
Education. Okay, we're done with Yabatek.
Yeah, we just spoke briefly. What do you want me to
Okay,
say?
no problem. Then we'll now talk about after Yabatek.
Yeah,
But first, before that, like I want to talk about maybe quickly from Kwara. You say you were born in Kwara,
I grew up in
like
Kwara.
then going to Lagos,
Mhm.
and then like life between those two places
Yeah,
because
so
Kwara is very different from Lagos.
yeah, it's very different from Lagos. I grew up. I went to a nursery school called Chapel Nursery and Primary School in Kwara
You
State.
remember? Okay.
Of course, I do. I have a crazy memory. I can do that. So, it's when we were talking about I studied computer science with first degree. Now I ended up in media. So there was a day I sat down and I was doing a reflection of. So I started this coaching call, and you have to do something about your timeline in your life,
Mm-hmm.
starting from when you're 0 to your present age. So
Yeah.
it's an exercise which it's very good for everybody you can do. So to look at
So you're
different
just
things,
reflecting back.
so
Okay.
you can just what happened. So because we are a product of some of the things that has happened to us while growing up, but because our memory we tend to block it out, so we
Okay.
tend not to want to remember. So
Okay.
when you take a study of that, so I was doing that and I realized it's not a coincidence that I'm doing communications or media right now. Because when I was small, I was like, and I think I will say it again, adulthood is a scam because they didn't
Wait,
prepare
wait.
us.
Can you say slower and more concrete? Okay. 1, 2.
We go,
Eh?
adulthood is a scam because we were not prepared for adulthood.
Nobody teaches you adulthood.
Yeah,
There's no class.
no, but wait, this is it. There's some things they would have taught us that would have made
For example.
adulthood. For example, you would have taught me that entrepreneurship, that I am going to pay bills and I'm going to do a couple of things.
Bill payment.
Yeah, get me ready to understand
100
the
level.
aspect of bills, of how you make money, and so,
Mhm.
so parents need to really educate their kids, which is why the
Mhm.
book Rich Dad Poor Dad was a hit with a whole lot of people, because it came at a point when people realized some certain educations were not given to kids growing up,
Mhm.
to people. So we just follow. It's just assume you follow in the path of your parents,
Yeah.
which is totally wrong because you have different things. So back to my uh, issue was growing up. I was a very good debater. I was in a debating club. At a point, I was a SpongeBob.
You give the debating vibe.
I was a SpongeBob. It's
Okay.
like I finished a book within 2 to 3 hours.
Eh?
A book, yeah, a novel, a book of about
So yeah, also a book one.
130, 140
Yeah.
pages. I finished. So I used to go to the children's library when I was small. We had a state children's library.
Yeah.
So
That is in Lagos.
no,
In
in
Ekiti.
in Kwara.
Okay. In Kwara.
Yes,
Okay.
in Kwara. So we're talking
Yeah.
about me growing up. And
Okay.
so I used to go to every Saturday. It's a ritual with my friend and I will find our way. So if you go to my house to look for me at home, my mom will tell you once it's around 11, 12. I go to my house to look for my mom. Was like, do you know where the children's library is? Opposite the post office. I said, you'll find her there. That's where she spends her Saturday, and she'll be coming back home around 2, 3 when she's time for lunch. So I quickly.
Wait, how old were you?
I'm talking about being under 10.
And
Yes.
you went to the library.
Yes.
First of all, just let's flashback on how safe society has to
my God, it was really
for you to actually.
It was just not high. Hi, my friend, and we're walking. Everywhere is closed. The shops are closed. So we have this. There used to be these Bata shops where they sell shoes. So we pass in front of a Bata shop, and
you guys, you call it Bata?
It's Bata. That's the name of the store.
Oh, that's the name of the store. Okay.
In the store, it's called Bata.
Okay. Sorry.
It's gotten from the Yoruba name of like Bata for shoes. So they sell shoes.
Okay, Bata is shoes in Yoruba.
Okay. It's a shoe store. So they call it Bata. It's a very old. Anybody that, if I say Bata, I'll know how old you are.
Well, you have exposed me.
So we will pass in front of Bata. I didn't know what we were doing then, but it was later I got to realize it's what they call window shopping. So we'll be looking at the different cortinas, the different shoes. We're like, okay, cortinas. Next time. Yo, so you know cortina is from Bata.
Yes, I know cortina.
So we're looking at the cortinas, we're looking at the new shoes, like, okay. So we are planning on how to tell our parents the next term.
So a question on cortinas.
Yeah.
Do you think that shoe should be gender neutral?
Of course, it's very nice. It fits everybody. It's easy. It should be. Cortina is good as it's gender neutral. I love it. Yeah, okay. So both males and females.
No comments.
You're a kid, for God's sake. Why are you differentiating shoes? It's made for comfortability.
No, I was introduced to cortinas when I was in secondary school. So okay. I wasn't in primary school. It was secondary school. So I mean, there was a sense of, we're touching fashion, but that was just a question. Yeah. Back to you.
So then, and so I used to go to the library. I read a lot, and then I was in debating society in school, and so everything revolving around me involves around writing, reading, growing up. So, but I had this affinity and love for numbers at the same time as well, which is what led me to computer science. I love calculations. I love numbers. To the extent I had to do further mathematics, A-level maths, engineering maths in SS.
You did engineering maths in SS class?
It was from my lesson, yeah. So I did further maths for IEC actually. Okay. So for my GC, and I got A1. So.
Yes. Okay.
So I just love numbers. The whole idea that there's a formula to calculate and do things intrigued me a lot. And so my brain was really so sharp. And I guess because I didn't have much problems, the only thing I needed to do was just read, do my house chores, and that was it, and stuff.
But your parents have to be cool parents for that time, like to allow you. First of all, because generally in Nigeria, I remember growing up, Saturday was sanitation day.
So every Saturday, the last Saturday of the month is sanitation day.
Was it last? I think when I grew up, it was nearly every Saturday. I mean, society, community-wise, every year, but like within the house, yeah.
So I wake up early in the morning.
Okay, you do your chores before.
I do my chores before going to the library. Okay. So like I'm up by 6 a.m. in the morning. I have to. So my own chores for Saturday is clean the sitting room, clean the kitchen, mop the floor. So before everybody's up, I'm already doing it because I want to go to the library. So every Saturday I had to just do that early in the morning, then face the library. Okay. And I spend my whole day. Then when I'm back with like 2-3 books. So once I just enter my room, close the door, my mom
after lunch,
come and eat. And before the day is over on Saturday, I'm done with the books I took. So at one point, I started going to the library twice a week. During the meeting, I would just go to pick up other books at the same time as well. So that I would return them on Saturday and pick up another set. So,
what genre intrigued you the most?
Oh,
what kind of stories?
I practically always read everything.
Okay.
I read everything back then. I used to read Secret 7, Famous 5. I don't know if anybody know Pippi Longstockings, but I got introduced to Pippi Longstockings story back then. And then I read like the maps and stuff. Just
you read the maps?
Yeah, kind of like just
as in map.
Yeah,
geography map.
Geographic book, and so it has maps. And
that's stuff. Such a curious brain.
So there were books that were moving around.
Okay.
Different. So the whole idea was.
Is in Nigeria or like the world?
It's an international set of books. Okay. So I want to see the world. I wanted to travel. I love traveling actually. So what my mom does for us during the holidays, I have an aunt that lived in Abeokuta. I had a family friend. My mom's family was staying up north in Kano, Kaduna.
Okay.
So we always plan the holiday during the year. So
Mm.
I always look forward to the train ride to Kano. Growing
Mm.
up, then it says, okay, we'll take the train.
Mm.
So,
It's just your smile right now. It's like you're so excited, remembering,
yeah,
right?
the childhood was fun and okay. Then
Mhm.
moving to Lagos, I had
What age
a,
were you when you moved to Lagos?
I think I was around. I moved to Lagos when I was in JS1, so I think I should be like
Or for
11.
school?
Yeah,
Boarding school?
no, not boarding school.
Your family moved
My,
entered.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we moved. My dad was in Lagos, so we moved to Lagos
Okay.
to go and continue my school. So
Sorry, how many kids were you?
I'm a family of three.
3.
Yeah,
You are
the eldest.
okay. Okay.
So what happened was, I think the first Saturday, I woke my dad up and I was like, hey, I want to go to the library. My father was like, what did you say? My dad was like, what did you say? I said, I want to go to the library.
Mm-hmm.
My father was like, sorry, this is Lagos.
Hey, Lagos people, can you hear?
No. Let me explain it to you. So, like you were talking, we just had a brief conversation about Yaba.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the libraries are in
Sorry,
Yaba.
this was in Festac when you went.
Yeah, when I was
Okay,
in first.
okay,
So
okay.
most of the libraries were in Yaba. They were
Ah.
around Yaba Ikeja axis.
Okay.
So that was where there's a federal library in Yaba. Then they have, I think they have like 2 community libraries in Yaba as well. So reading for books, I realized was really not a culture
In Lagos.
in Lagos because of the
But was it a culture
diverse.
in Kwara? Or were you just like lucky
I
to be close
was.
to a library?
It was the culture because they intentionally built it. It was a state library.
But where
And
did you live? You said you went with your friend to the libraries?
I always go with my
Walking.
friend too. Yeah, we always walk. So it
So
was.
you were close to
It's
the library
no, I
relative.
wasn't close. It was about 30 minutes from my home.
And you walked it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
You understand like when you're always going to school, when you come back, you stay at home, you go to lesson and stuff. So Saturday was like fun day. Let's go.
And Kwara is bigger than Lagos.
Yeah, but I stayed in Ilori.
So oh, okay.
So that was what I think that was what I found the library. So when I went to the library,
so perhaps if you're in Ikeja or something, it might have been different.
Kind of like you might have,
yeah.
If you have affinity to read the book, because I guess it's what you're looking for that you find.
Yeah, okay.
So unless you're not looking, if you're looking for a library, you'll find the library.
Yeah.
If you're not looking for it, you won't find it.
Mm-hmm.
So because my dad never knew
it was important.
A thing, kind of like so. So my dad was like, you know what, let's have a deal. We're going to start buying books for you. What books do you want to buy? Because I think before we left Kwara, my mom started buying me pesetas.
Okay.
So because
what are pesetas?
There are a series of books. Okay. So we used to have this series of books back then. We call them pesetas. So there were different authors, different Nigerian authors. They write different series of. Was
it a publishing house? The pesetas?
Yes, the peseta was a label. Was
okay.
Kind of, so like when you have I don't know what can I call it now. Like if you have a random house, like a publishing house.
Yeah.
So but you have different authors writing different things. So the I think the publishing house is Peseta, but the label of the books is Pesetas.
Okay.
So we had different title series by different authors. So I had a couple of authors.
So it's like Tales by Moonlight in book version.
So it was more interesting.
Okay.
So there's this lady, Ellen Obiageli. Yeah. She wrote Bloodbath at Lobster Close. Anybody that is there. So I loved Sissy. I loved.
You're just giving me a Chimamanda, like generational vibe. It's your generation anyway, but like.
So that kind of a thing. So those are Ellen Obiageli. Those are Ellen Obu, whatever. I can't remember any again, but I remember some series of titles. And then from there, I moved to reading the likes of. I read Things Fall Apart when I was in primary 4.
Wow.
So when I was in primary 6, when they made it into drama. We actually had a drama series
on Things Fall Apart.
On Things Fall Apart.
Okay.
So like, who killed Kebe Fuda? Oh.
So let me just ask, what do you think about Okonkwo? No, I have my own opinion about Okonkwo.
I think I might have to read some of those books again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Looking at it now from the angle of being mature and being more aware. Because as a kid, I was just reading for story. It was a
Okay.
story. So, but now growing up now, when people start having conversations around things fall
Mm-hmm.
apart, I didn't really understand that part of the story. It was just
Mm.
the whole idea of who kill came for that go for and stuff for me. So it was okay. That was the whole series for me
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And then I read, I think that was when I read what's this man's I learned a bit about the Fulani culture. I got interested when I read, oh Lord, how did I forget? There was a story, a book that was written by an Igbo man on,
About the Fulani culture.
yeah,
That's crazy.
it is. It is very Cyprianic Wednesday. The
Okay.
burning
Okay, okay, okay,
grass.
okay, okay, okay,
The
okay, okay.
burning grass.
Sipan. You know, there's a. I think Sipan has a museum in Abuja. I don't know if you know.
I know, I mean, but Cyprianic Wednesday, the author, the story of
The burning grass, you
the
said.
burning
Yeah.
grass. Yeah, it was.
It's a Fulani man story.
It's a shadow story. So that was what I learned about the bride. You know, you want to get married, the
Yeah.
cooking and all the
Yeah.
rest. It's about the
Yeah.
burning grass
Thank
is a
God we are
full
modernized.
language.
Why will you flog me?
But they still do it. It's
They
still a
still
culture in
ah.
Fulani, the Fulani
Wow.
tribe today. So that was what I learned a
If you
bit
want to
about.
marry a Fulani, better know what you are getting info now. They will flog you.
No, it depends. I think there's a real culture that if I said
Yeah,
okay, so I
perhaps if you
kind of
marry Buhari, you will not get that.
so I kind of like so Cyprian Quincy and the
Okay.
rest. Chino Achebe. I read a couple of Chino Achebe's book. I read some poetry books. So yeah. So
Do you like poetry?
well, I used to because I used to write poems, but I can't remember the last time I actually wrote a poem. So I used
Mm.
to write poems, and yeah, I had a friend that used to make greeting cards then,
Okay.
like artistic greeting cards.
Mm-hmm.
So
For
I write,
business.
yeah, for business for
Okay.
friends. So he
Okay.
sells it. So I write the words for his greeting cards. That
So you
was
had
when
a
I was in
commission.
secondary school. I was just doing for the fact that I had a book of poetry. I just love writing.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's why I said if I had been taught entrepreneurship, I think I would have been cashing out for you from everybody.
If I
Everyone
don't get
like
like 20%.
my talent. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so yeah. So that difference kind of like struck me for
Yeah.
Lagos, and then yeah,
So they started buying you books, not going
yeah,
to
kind of like
library.
not going to library. So I started having my own collections, and then from there I moved to reading comics. So I got into the world of comics. I
What
used
kind
to
of
read
comics?
Marvel comics were mine.
Oh.
So
But did you read DC?
for DC, Marvel.
Okay.
So what happened was when I
Superheroes.
was in secondary school, yeah, when I was in secondary school in Lagos,
Yeah,
there's
giving.
this bookshop
Mm-hmm.
near my house. Funny enough,
Okay.
there's a bookstore near my house.
Mm.
So they bring
Like
the
the life was compensating. It's like we're not
so
giving library, but there's
they
bookstore.
bring no, they bring the new series of DC comics on Mondays. So
Do
there's
you
a
even know?
series, their series on Mondays.
You're such a nerd.
Yeah,
She knows the days they bring the.
so when
Okay.
I buy it, so when I collect my money for feeding for the week,
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep it. So when it's Monday, I'll go to the bookstore and I'll
To go
buy
and
at
buy.
least 3 or 4 comics, and then
Wow.
I'll take it to school. So I started like a comic
Society.
exchange kind of a thing
Okay.
in school. So I wanted to read Tintin. So there's some kids that have Tintin in school. So I'll borrow you my Marvel comics.
Yeah.
You give me your Tintin.
I read
So,
Tintin.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was great. So Korea was quite interesting and nice. Yeah. Learned a couple of things and the environment. And I think growing up in Lagos helped me with a couple of things, which is the spirit that you have to be enterprising, you have to be on your feet, you have to learn how to do things, make things happen. That is one thing I missed about Lagos. Lagos is not laid back. You're challenged one way or the other because then I have friends around me when I was secondary school. They were always doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Was it day or boarding school
it
again?
was a day school.
Okay.
So I hang out with a couple of my friends over the weekend.
So you guys are the Ajabota children.
We're not really Ajabota children. So I grew up with the likes of John John Ijama was my circle of friends. I had a
Okay.
friend that was an artist. So we kind of like just hang around and you see your friends were doing this, we're doing that. So you too you have to find a way to do some things.
Positive peer
Yeah,
pressure.
positive. Not positive. Positive. I mean, it wasn't a peer pressure kind of a thing, but I
No,
mean,
but like they push you into it. Like if you're with some people, like they
yeah.
push you into a
Yeah,
direction.
kind of like so it was balanced. So I had a group of friends that were outside school. I had a group of friends that were from my lesson.
Mhm.
So the whole idea was we finished school because I went to public school.
Yeah.
So then I'll go to a lesson.
When public schools were good.
I went to public school and I'll go to lesson. So
Okay.
the lesson augments for classes.
Okay.
So that was the whole idea. And I went to one of the best lessons in Festac and Kabe.
Mhm.
So that was where I found more love
What
for
was your favorite lesson
mathematics.
teacher?
My father, mathematics teacher,
Okay.
and physics, which was taught by
I
Cabbage.
love
So
physics.
yeah,
I've
so
never had physics class, but like I love physics from a
I love
curious point
physics.
of
And
view.
then my lesson teacher made me to like chemistry a bit because,
Mm-hmm.
but my chemistry teacher in school was
It's terrible.
not it at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
just not it at all. So, well, my science courses I love mostly were physics and maths.
Okay.
So yeah, I found a way to
We
move
had
out.
maths in arts now. Don't carry all the courses.
I kind of like moved around with biology, but
Mm-hmm.
chemistry was one I never really loved like that, and that's why it's very important as a teacher. Your way and method of teaching affects the students, whether you know
They are
it or
talking to
not.
you,
So
dear
it's
chemistry
it's
teachers.
very important. But I think over time, right now, people have found a way to make a whole lot of things fun, and which was another thing that happened when I was doing my computer science course. Most of the courses we were taught were obsolete, which is like Fortran, COBOL,
Mm-hmm.
when the whole world was already going to HTML, CSS.
Mm-hmm.
So students had to do extra to teach themselves.
So you guys do
That's
not have
normally
Python. They were not teaching Python.
no.
No.
Can you please ask somebody to give you the curriculum for computer science in universities right now? They're still teaching some obsolete languages that should not be taught. Though we have advanced COBOL now, we have advanced Fortran. But the funniest thing is the professor or the lecturer that's going to teach you has no knowledge of those things themselves.
So it's just
So
theoretical.
so exactly. So they just
Mm.
kind of pick from book because they didn't take the time to groom themselves to go for further knowledge, more knowledge. So which is one of the problem of the educational system back then.
Mm.
So because I see if you're an educator, you have your responsibility is impact, and you need to be able to understand how you're going to get that done. But I mean, back then, just was not a
It was
thing.
not given.
It was not given. So I moved into hardware. Some of my friends were when I see my friends struggling with lines and lines of codes
Code.
on Kobo, I'm like,
But you guys write the code on like on a computer.
yeah,
Okay.
we
Okay.
so one good thing for Yabatech was we had a computer science club.
Okay.
So we had so we
So it was
had
in the club you're writing code, not in your courses.
not for really courses like that. So
How were your exams?
we had courses, but you have to write it by hand.
By
And then when you
hand.
are doing assignments is when you now go. So you have to do timetable to be able to have access to computers. Not like now that everybody has it's a desktop. You know those big
Yeah,
machines that look
yeah.
like
Computers
ancient of
and
days.
yeah.
Those were the things.
Those books
So we
boxing.
had the knackers office.
Okay.
So where we go to read, and I think we had like one or two computers there.
Mhm.
So when it's free, you can easily just get
Well,
on
when
the
will it
system
ever
and
be free for that amount of students?
exactly. So that kind of a thing. So sometimes some of the students, even because the senior student comes to school, the HN student comes to school on weekend to make it up.
Mm.
So if you're an officer in the department, like student body, you get to have access to the place on weekend. So we
Okay.
always use it over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, kind of a thing. But so that was one of the things where I never really got interested in coding
Okay.
because of the whole. I'm like, no,
The learning environment.
I prefer to take a screwdriver and dismantle a computer. So I was doing more of
So
hardware,
elect kind of.
legend
Yeah.
kind of. So I was doing more of the engineering part, the putting together of system troubleshooting. So that was what I just diverse into. So that's why I said, going into media and whatever right now, it's all a journey. So that's why I say there's nothing that's actually wasted in your life if you take a look at your life later. Because my learning computer science back then came into use when I went to work in the media house. So I was on the online desk. So there were a couple of like codes, lines, and stuff which I had known, and that really helped me. So that set me apart a bit with my peers, and I was the team lead. I had a boss, a desk editor when I first started. So I became the team lead for my
What
team.
media house was this? Your first media house was? Do you want to mention it or you don't?
234 next.
234 next.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is a very good media house. It was just unfortunate that it only has it was alive for just 3 years, and they did great things within the 3 years.
What was the biggest stories?
Woo, Yar'Adua is brain dead.
Oh my god.
Yeah. The headline reads Yar'Adua, the President Yar'Adua is brain damaged.
Did you receive threats from the government?
It was a very funny thing that happened that day. So the day we published and we hid it on the streets, people were sent on the streets to go buy up the newspaper. Militaries were just picking up the newspapers. Yeah. They bought up
Military. But when that time was a democracy, no?
You have soldiers around because they were trying to keep stability. That was when Yar'Adua was quiet. Nobody knew what was going on in
Okay.
government. So Nigeria was like sitting on a ticking time bomb.
Mm.
People were not sure what was going to happen. We've not seen the president of the country for 2 months
Mm-hmm.
physically to address anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was an episode when the wife went into the FEC
Mm-hmm.
to address the FEC,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like so. The military were stationed
FEC is
around
the Federal Executive
Federal
Council, but
Executive Council.
yeah.
So the militaries were stationed around.
So they bought up all your
Yeah, they
papers.
picked up all the newspapers in Abuja, not in Lagos, in
Okay.
Abuja. So straight in Abuja, kind of a thing. Because I mean,
Where is the headquarters? Lagos or Abuja? For 2 to 3.
for Chief was Lagos.
Okay.
So, but we had an Abuja office
Okay.
outside to serve the north. So what we did was zona.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing Lagos, and then we had a partnership with a company somewhere in the east.
Mm.
So that was what really happened with that part of it. And the website crashed like 3 times that day.
over
Comments,
views, yeah.
people talking and stuff.
But were them what kind of like? So what was? I mean, so where the public were like, what was their feeling like? Hey, we knew it, or was it like, why are you guys writing this?
Nigeria being Nigeria, the country being country. So Tutti was known for a couple of investigative pieces in Nigeria.
Okay. So you guys were like the Hyundai before Hyundai.
Like, yeah, we kind of like shook the country a bit. The news house shook the country a bit, where we were the ones that did some things around the CBN, the Soludo. So there were a whole lot of stories that broke from the investigative department desk.
Who was sponsoring you guys? Or was this self-independent?
So we have a board of directors, and it was the publisher was the first African Pulitzer Prize winner, Daily Olojede back then.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it was quite cool. It was a nice experience, and yeah, I was able to. It gave me an insight to a couple of things, that the way we see our country, the way things work, the way people think, and yeah, it was a good ride.
Did you cover any stories when you were there, or you were like more assisting?
So what happened was because I was online desk, but when everybody started in the newsroom,
yeah,
you all go through training. Everybody writes.
Okay.
You get to write a piece. I still have my first story that was published in the newspaper. So something I read about old Lagos, new Lagos. You are assigned beats to kind of like follow.
You call it beats?
Yeah, so it's your beats. So anybody that do like Metro, so if you're on Metro desk, you have a beat, which is, do you cover courts cases? That's why when you open newspaper, you see some courts. So that's a beat for somebody. So some people cover the state house. That's their beat. Some people
so like tracks.
Yeah. So you just call it like what's your beat? Some people call it some people cover hospitals, which is health. You have businesses. So for the business desk, some people are assigned to the stock exchange. So that's why you get the stories for the stock exchange that day and stuff.
So what was your beat?
I was the online desk.
Okay. So that was a beat in itself.
No, that was a desk. It's not a beat. So everything.
What are the different desks? Sorry, educate me.
Desk were Metro.
Okay.
Nation.
What's Metro? Metropole.
Metro is like Lagos.
Okay.
Everything that happens around Lagos. So like.
But in Lagos, there are different beats.
So that's the point. So in Lagos, you have different beats. So somebody can cover the courts. Then somebody can cover the state house. Okay. Then somebody will cover like hospitals, and somebody will cover like random stories around different things happening generally. Okay. Then if there's like hearing here or something happening, events, some people go cover that as well. So depending on how many reporters you have on a desk. So that's why when you open your newspaper, you have Nation. Nation is a desk. Okay. Metro is a desk. Business is a desk. In newspaper, then you have art and culture is a desk. Fashion is a desk. So when you have music, entertainment is a desk.
So categorically, like it's like departments.
We don't really call them.
Yeah, you don't call them departments, but it is
everybody. So each desk we have like, so because we run an open office, so it's you just.
What does that mean?
An open office means there's no
door.
There's no
so everybody's sitting
it's
down.
An open plan. Yeah. So, but when you see people seated together, that's their desk. Everybody sits on their desk. So you can have 15 people here. So when you come here, so this Nation, this is Metro. So when
so they're discussing the stories and like writing.
And like, exactly. So everybody's together. So
that must be like a media New York Stock Exchange.
So it was a floor plan of like because Dele used to work in a newspaper in New York. That was where he worked for
Okay.
years. So 234 Next was the first news media house in Nigeria that ran a 360 degrees news.
Okay.
So what you mean by 360-degree news is online, like a hybrid sort of. So we have the online and offline, which is the main paper sitting in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So they sat in the same place. So when you are doing your stories for paper, we pick a part of it for online.
Okay.
So the story builds up online before you even see it in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have a flash. So in the morning we have a editorial meeting. People come in and say, "Okay, what are you working on?" We get a glimpse of it. We prepare like a 2 paragraph. So it was a good process, kind of a thing. So yeah.
Okay. So what? So being online desk now.
Online means you are responsible for everybody's story online, for filling the website. So when you see a news website, it's the online desk people that are responsible for that.
Putting it.
For putting
So
it
like
and
the
monitoring.
print edition.
The print edition is different. So the print edition can contain. So when you have a feature article in the print, can be like 800 words, but with online it can be 1,500 because there's no limit.
Yeah.
But with your paper, there's a limit.
Okay.
So that's why some stories will tell you go online to finish reading the full story. Because of you have to, how many.
So there are different stories online and on print.
No, sometimes there are some featured stories that go online
because they are longer.
They are longer.
Yeah. Okay.
That you will just see an abridged version in the paper, so you get to like go online. So the whole idea is a business method of driving your traffic from it's still the marketing kind of a thing. You drive your traffic from online to from offline to online and back to offline again at the same time. So it works that way. And then with the online, we started creating a couple of other things, like we go out on the streets, talk to people. So we had different things. We had like a TV section online, and we had like a podcast online section. So we're
in those days,
we were like
young guys ahead.
The YouTube for 234Next was bigger than the YouTube channel for Channels TV back then. For a newspaper house compared to a real media house. Okay. A television house. So because we were always doing things, we were creating content.
And this is in 3 years, you said?
Yeah, it stayed for 3 years. It was 234Next was alive from 2008 to 2011.
Okay, but did they transition, metamorphose, or they just died flat out?
They just died because of a whole lot of different issues.
So you left them after they died, or you left before it died?
I think I put the newspaper went to bed. The physical paper went to bed before the online. So my team was the last team standing.
Oh, you guys switch off the lights.
So we switch off the lights.
Okay.
Yeah, we switch off the lights because I think we started it. Yeah, we started it.
Oh, so you were there before it started? Like you prepared?
We were there. I was there from the very new section.
Oh, that's a very valuable experience in the sense of like you saw.
Inception, yeah, the interview process was the craziest I've ever had in my life. I think 20,000 people. Was it 11,000 people applied? Was it 11 or 20,000 people applied? It was a crazy interview process because they had read, you want to change Nigeria, I want to be. I didn't even know I was working in a media house. It was a media house because the advert was like, oh, you want to be a change agent, you want to do this, you want to do that. So apply to this job. And I just finished my NYC. I was looking for a job. I think I finished NYC for like a year. I was doing something in Abuja I didn't like. I was like, okay. So one thing, when I was in school,
that's university.
I was an ISECA. I'm still an ISEC. Yeah.
ISEC?
ISEC. So ISEC is an association.
Wait, AIES.
ISEC.
AIE. Oh my God.
ECER. You know ISEC?
AIESEC.
Yeah, ISEC.
You're in ISEC.
I have a ISEC.
I have so many friends. I'm sure if they watch this episode, like I have so many friends that are in ISEC. You guys are like a
we're not a cult. Stop that.
No. So in my degree, the first year, I think they were the first organization to walk in. I think we were just like 2 weeks into our degree. First year students were in university.
Sure.
They just came in, boom, presentation, like, and then all of a sudden they picked like. And like the people that joined them were like very, very smart. So my degree was very competitive. Like, they have like very smart people in my degree. They took like a bunch of them, like I think up to 10 of them, And from that moment forth, it's like they had a full-time job. I like for me, I did not understand what was going on. Like you're in
Okay.
class, then oh my god, I have ISEC meeting. Like you're going like to the ISEC meeting.
It's ISEC. So ISEC is an international
Is it called?
organization.
Yes.
It's not a cult. It's a student organization.
Okay.
You know they
Is
have
that?
the international office is in Rotterdam in Netherlands,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's strictly run by students.
Yet I
Yeah,
heard.
and they've produced many presidents of countries
Yeah.
globally and stuff. Even
Okay.
though it's a 190, I'm sure the list should have increased a bit now.
So you guys are like your McKinsey
We are not your
alumni.
McKinsey alumni. I don't know about
So wow. So you're
So
an ISECer.
I'm an
You are
ISEC
just
bias.
revealing more.
So
Okay.
it kind of like gives you the vibe, like you want to create change, you want to do it. There's nothing that is impossible for you to do. That kind of
So you
preparation, that kind of vibe.
resonated.
So kind of like resonated, like I want to change, and I signed up. I didn't know I was going to a media house, like
Mm.
until the last. So I think about 20,000 people did. Then they cut. It took 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
the whole process. So they picked 1,500.
Wow.
So
How
after
did you apply? What does apply mean
it
in those
was
days?
you see a newspaper ad, then they tell you that you go to Starbucks Cafe to go and fill the stuff and send it to the email address and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
So it's the same process
yeah, it's
technically.
the same process. So kind of like, but just you see an ad, but not like now that you can go to LinkedIn, check whatever. You just see the ad and then you pick it, go write your CV and stuff and send. And then they picked 1,005 to come for an interview. So you select places like either Lagos, Abuja, or something. So I think I went from Lagos to I was in Abuja then, so I did my interview in Abuja. So after that, we now waited for them to call us. So from that 1,500 I did the interview, I think it was 200 that was finally called to come for the training.
Okay.
So we did a training for I think it was 2 or 3 weeks.
That's big. 200 is a lot.
So after the 200, after the training and everything, they only picked 70.
70.
Yes. So say from 20 or
From
11,000, yeah,
11,000.
kind of like yeah. So 70. Then
That's
from
like
the
what?
70,
2%?
so from the 70, they still cut down to finally we were 50. That was an unusual. That got employed with 2 3 for the first time.
So you're like 1% of.
So I got, so that I got, so
Okay.
that was the whole process for
That's a
yeah.
miracle.
It was super great. So I was like, wow. So
So what was the interview crazy? You said the interview was crazy. Like why was it? Is it because
because there
of the
was a
number?
lot of people,
Okay.
yeah, the
But
whole
so
number of
you saw
people.
all the people that they were interviewing
You
when
were
you were there.
you were good to see yourself. Your entry, they were calling you. So it was done by Adeko. Adeko did the interview process for them
Okay,
back
okay.
then. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
So after 2 3 4 major, after I
Then,
switched off the lights.
then I went for my postgraduate. So before I left, I already started my postgraduate in diploma in journalism in Pan
Okay.
Atlantic University.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in the process. Then
That's in Lagos too,
it
right?
was in Lagos.
Mainland.
Yeah, Lagos. It was on the island.
Okay.
Before they moved to their permanent site. So they
Okay.
used to have a building in VI.
Okay.
So
Uh-uh.
they used to have a building in VI. So that's where we go for classes. So I finished my classes in the building in VI before they moved to the permanent site. So and then from there I got a job with the state government of Ekiti. So
Okay.
to come and work with them on digital media. So I was a senior technical assistant to the governor. So designed the digital transformation pathway for which is
So you're saying you so humbly I was a senior technical. Like
which is
she was the say it again.
which is to do the whole design of
Okay.
the state's digital media the websites, the
Yeah.
whole thing. So we put that together and then we started a form of open governance.
Okay.
So the whole idea was every document that has to do with government will be online.
For the Ekiti state
The
government.
state government will be online. So we're the first state to put our budget fully online. And
Okay.
the whole country went crazy. Like, how could you put a full blown budget? But the point was because there's a system which the budget was done.
Yeah.
So for Ekiti, and it was started by Dr. Kawade Fahimi back then. So
Mhm.
for Ekiti,
Which was the technical
so which I was a technical
advice,
assistant to him.
yeah.
So what he does is he started a system which is very fantastic, and it's still done till date. The present
Yeah.
administration still follows the same process. So what we do is it goes on a tour of we have 16 local governments, 770 communities.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them come together, they meet him.
Yeah.
He asks each community like pick 3 or 4 core things you want the state to do for your community.
That's the equity communities.
Yeah, the different communities.
So local government areas, technically.
Not yeah, the local government. So,
Okay.
but inside the local government, you have different communities. They have
All right.
different villages, like towns and stuff. So, what do
Wow,
you
that's
want
a
in
lot.
your town? You have
Okay.
770 communities. So, what do you want? So, it's like some might say they want a road done. Some might say they want some things done and stuff. So, each community,
Had a
mind you now,
request.
it is not the government that is asking to do something or that just want to force something on them.
Yeah.
It's the people that are asking the
So bottom
government
up.
for what they want.
Okay.
So
Sorry, how was that conducted? Like the actual
it
process?
goes around.
Like he went round to
So
774.
what happened is if you have
I don't believe
if you
that.
have
He went round to
20
every.
communities,
Okay.
we have 16 local governments. So
Okay.
all the communities in that local government will be represented. They will come
okay.
to meet
Together.
him. So they will come to the place where
And
he's
he was
coming that day
present.
for it was 16 local governments. So he went around. So each community is represented.
Okay,
So they would
that
have
makes
had
sense.
their meeting. So maybe like send like 5 people.
And they agreed
and
on
they are
something.
king, they agreed. It's
Okay,
stated. So they
okay,
agreed. So they
okay.
will come. So when they do that, they will now set the budget.
Okay.
So the budget is the budget of the people because they are the ones
Budget
that
of
set
the people.
budget.
That's interesting.
So then at the end of the day, the government does not get involved in how it is implemented. They give the community the money. So one of the craziest things
you gave them the money.
They will give them the money. So they do it with so there's this so it's a form of empowering the local people among them that does all this artisan work at the same time, not give it to an outside contractor. So it's done by their own people. So one of the craziest things you can do when in government is steal community money.
The craziest in what sense? What do you mean by crazy?
The craziest thing you can do
in what sense?
Human being.
In the sense of like it's derogatory or
it's derogatory.
Okay.
Because your family lineage will be pointed to. Is your father that stole the community money? Yeah.
Your papa not thief.
Exactly. Your family will say, "Oh, you're going to that house.
Okay.
That house where they steal things from people or something like that." So the worst thing you can do is when you put the community money in your you're in charge of community projects and you steal the money and not perform. You cannot do that.
I want to understand like how like Governor Fumi was able to, because like as a politician, of course, like you have to come in with a message like, "Oh my God, I'm going to change your lives," or "Oh my God, like we're going to do this." How did you? Because being governor and before governor, so I don't know anything about his governorship. I don't know anything about. So I'm just assuming and hypothesizing here. So I'm thinking. Obviously, not everybody in that community wanted you in the first place, like in the 774, because there was another party, etc.
Exactly.
Right? So you had to have a message that I'm going to change equity or something, right? So the direction you're going, and then you come into government and you're saying, "Oh, budget of the people." So the people's will might differ from your own message. I don't know if that makes sense. But so how did he make it make sense?
This is what I've said because I've walked through 3 state campaign. I've worked on 3 gubernatorial campaign
in equity. Okay.
In Ekiti.
What was your most recent?
That was the one that brought in 2022.
So the current governor in Ekiti. Okay.
I was actually chair of the digital media, digital communications for the gubernatorial election. So this was it. When he came, not forgetting his background, he's from a civil society background. At the same time, so he knows how the system of communal effort works. So yeah, people want another party. Everybody has different reasoning, but the major issue is once one person win, you need to be able to come together and because it's going to be there, he's already governor. So and then when you reason at it, you look at the different how will I put this, the different agendas.
Yeah.
So agenda should be able to speak.
What do you mean by different agendas?
So when you're campaigning,
you let
the people know the agendas you're going to work on.
Okay.
So like the first time I think he had an 8 point agenda.
Okay.
That was in 2014. No, 2010 to 2014. He had an 8 point agenda that covered, I think, education, health.
Were you with him then? Still,
I came into Ekiti in 2011.
2011. So a year
Mm,
after. Okay.
a year after, so it was already 1 year when I
Okay.
came
Okay.
in. So it has to do with the 8 point agenda.
Mm.
So, and the 8 point agenda, when you look at it critically, should be able to cover a whole lot of things that people I think generally is looking at what are the main things that should work. You see, when a governor comes to say, I built roads, it's not an achievement actually.
Hey.
It's something you should
Yeah. You're
really
actually breaking.
no, no. Building kilometers of road is not an achievement. It
Okay.
is part of your job as a governor to make sure the infrastructural system are in place. So government,
Did you ever tell Governor Fayemi that
I didn't need to tell him because he knows.
he knew?
He knew.
Okay.
And that was why he made sure there were good roads. So most of the good
So he
roads.
didn't celebrate like roads and stuff.
No, it
I don't
wasn't.
know about his governorship, so I'm just asking.
No,
Okay.
it
Okay.
wasn't. Celebrating of roads was not really like an
Mhm.
achievement. It was something that to tell you that, oh, I've been able to do this, I've done this, I've done that.
Yeah.
So he knows he's keeping tabs on which one is left, which one is not left. That's his
Yeah.
own
Based on the
idea.
8 point agenda.
Exactly.
Mm.
So like we look at different. So it's not just in one sector of
Yeah.
the states. It's all the local government. So the main thing. So you provide good roads to be able to allow the farmers in the farms to be able to bring their produce to
Yeah.
town to sell.
Mm-hmm.
That is economic development for them.
Yeah.
Good roads, when people are able to come to your state, you're able to transact business. It's economic development for your state
Is
at the
farming
same
the
time.
main economic?
It's an agrarian
Is an
and
agrarian?
civil servant state. Is an
Okay.
agrarian
Okay.
and civil service. So most
Okay.
states in the southwest that is not Lagos is agrarian and civil service.
Okay.
Even the
So
same thing
crops
applies
and
to the
stuff.
north
Yeah.
because like it's farming. So
Yeah.
it's only the main cities like Port Harcourt, like
Abuja.
Lagos, Abuja, then probably like Enugu or some other parts in the
Mhm.
east at the same time. So those are like every other part in Nigeria is
Agriculture.
majorly like agriculture or one thing or the other that has to do with crafts, which is one of the reasons why I'm always pained that the tourism potential of Nigeria is not developed to the
Mhm.
fullest because Nigeria is losing money on the table when it comes to tourism, but
Yeah.
because they want instant results. Tourism is a long-term plan and it's not for anybody to take credit
Mm-hmm.
because democracy will work fully when everybody start realizing it's the government of the people. So the people, it's the politicians you put there by the people. So by the
Politicians and people.
people, it's the civil servants.
Okay.
For the people, the masses.
So government of the people.
By the
So
people,
politicians plus civil servants plus masses
exactly.
makes
That's
up the
everybody
definition.
of real democracy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then people always forget that politicians are tenured terms. What I mean by tenured terms is they
But in
come in there
Nigeria, are
every
they
4
tenured?
years.
Well, okay. Technically, so they come in 4 years for a particular position. Let me give a scenario. So let's imagine like you come in. So 234 Media,
Mm-hmm.
right? Will you say you are employed by 234 Media?
Mm-hmm.
You came in, let's imagine like online, your
Mm-hmm.
beat was online desk. Then let's imagine that, oh my god, they wanted to promote you, and then or they wanted to change your beat, and they took you to business,
Mm-hmm.
metropole business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're like, I'm tired, let me go to another, or like in quotes, your tenure has finished, then they
Mm-hmm.
take you to like the so you're an editor now or
Mm-hmm.
something, right? And then that one has finished, and then Nigerian politics gives that vibe in the sense of, oh, I finish as a commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be a local House of Assembly. Then
Well,
let me be a governor. Then let me be a senator.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But
And like his career.
you know, one of the reasons they are career politicians because I mean, when you look at it in the US, you have senators that have been senators for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Do
So
you think that
represent-
is bad, by the way?
It's actually very terrible.
You think it's terrible?
Yeah, it is very
What
terrible.
are your
Now,
reasons
I'll
for
give
that?
you so the whole idea is the way I see it, the reason why a governor of Nigeria will leave governor and be striving to be a minister or striving to go to the House of Assembly or trying to go to the House of as a senator, it's when you look at it, we're recycling leaders. And so we wonder why Nigeria has not improved to a certain
Okay,
level.
let's use your definition again. You say you are recycling leaders.
Mm-hmm.
There were three pillars that you stated. So there was like the politicians,
Mm-hmm.
of the people,
Mm-hmm.
politicians, by the people,
Mm-hmm.
civil servants, for
Mm-hmm.
the people,
Mm-hmm.
masses.
Mm-hmm.
When you say leadership, where are you touching?
So we are talking about you. For the question you asked me is about politicians. So I'm
Yeah.
giving you a scenario now. So when you look at the reason why this, and I think one of the reason why we're having that, I wouldn't even really call it leaders. We're recycling people, and the reason why this is because you're always afraid of the unknown. So if you come in as a
You, as in everybody in this tribe.
generally kind of
Yeah.
like they are you as it's human to be afraid of the unknown.
Okay.
So if you're used to you come in as a commissioner, you have access to a security detail. There are some things you don't use your money to buy,
Mm.
and then this is going to be over. Oh. Where am I going to?
But aren't you supposed to know that?
So this is the question: how many of the people that we have in different positions are really educated and they have a second house address?
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by second house address is if I'm a qualified doctor and I do a foray into politics
Mm-hmm.
for say 4 years or 8 years, I can easily go out and go back to my medicine
Mm.
because that's my primary
Address.
address. Politics was my secondary address. And I went in with the understanding that it's tenured.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go. Yes, it's good for people in the private to go into politics to be able to learn their expertise,
Mm-hmm.
but they need to not forget the reason why they got this because they were able to do exemplary things in private and they were able to impact and do things. And so the reason why they got into politics or they were given position in politics because they expect them to impact the same way as well. But you see, politics is really not like that. Once you've gotten used to a certain lifestyle, we are humans. Some people don't go that way, but majority, which is what you were pointing at, go that path
Mm-hmm.
back home, which is Nigeria. So you're seeing senatorial seats being filled with governors.
Mm-hmm.
So because I believe if
Ministerial
ministerial
positions.
positions as well, no, ministerial is okay.
Mm-hmm.
At least if it's you're doing a term or two and leave and you face something else, not try to go back to the Senate again. That is that recycling of thing that really kind of
Mm-hmm.
like gets on
Well, it
people.
can be 8 years if.
It whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is because as a governor you run a state, so you have the capacity to run at the federal level,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then not when you finish as a minister, you want to go into Senate to do what?
Mm-hmm.
There are other peoples that are fit for Senate or that should try at the same time as well.
So what will you? Let's pragmatize it in the sense of I am a governor
Mm-hmm.
and you said it. I've been
Mm-hmm.
used to this lifestyle. I don't have a second address. What do you expect me to do?
So this is the point. Why in the first place should we say the minimal educational system that we expect in Senate or expect for some things is high school?
So what do you think it should be?
You and I know of that thing.
We know. What do you think it should be? BSc?
A first degree.
Okay.
Because for you to have a first degree, you've gone through some things. And
Yeah.
a first degree with experience in your field of career for a certain number of years. Because
But don't you think that makes the political? So I mean, your definition is government of the people, for the people, by the people.
mm-hmm.
Don't you think that will automatically mean that some certain people will not ever be able to think about politics in the sense of, imagine you're 30, 40, you're a community leader, people
Mm-hmm.
listen to you in the community,
Mm-hmm.
you never went to school, but
Mm-hmm.
you have knowledge
Mm-hmm.
like of your community.
Mm-hmm.
So knowledge that makes you survive in your community. And maybe like most of them are not even literate in quotes, right? In terms of Western education.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that if you put that disqualifies a lot of people who might in quotes be competent at community level?
Mind you, let me explain something to you. Competence is different from emotional intelligence. Having experiential intelligence is different from emotional intelligence, which is different from having educational intelligence to a certain level.
So do you think a first degree like helps you with the three?
So this is where I'm going. So the first degree we were able to help you with, you have knowledge, intelligence, which is you went to school, you read this. You have a bit of emotional intelligence because you dealt with different set of people to a certain level while you're in school, your peers, your teachers, your friends, and other kind of people to a certain degree of level. And then which is why I added have a work experience at the same time as well, which gives you a bit of working around with people, leadership position, and not forgetting, not everybody can be politician. That is one thing people always forget. So everybody have we all have different giftings and different knowledge. So there's nothing wrong with coming together. If I am a governor, I go out to go and look for people that are skilled in certain areas and bring them in to work with me. That is what works. So, and I've seen that at work where some youth leaders have been given some positions because they were able to manage some things. But they give them a position which will help them develop a certain level of skill that is needed for the next step if they're ever going to get into that place. So it's not going straight for the jugular, which is the top, without having a minimal experience. Which is why when you see some people coming from private sector wanting to run for governor in Nigeria, you've never been to a meeting, a political meeting before in your village. You've never gone for meeting, ward meeting before.
Mm-hmm.
You suddenly want to become a governor.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work with you? Because there's some certain things that are from the grassroots level that you need to mingle with some people. You need to be able to understand and know how it is done, and then be able to understand. So when you go for ward meetings, you're able to understand what the challenges of your people are. Because the whole idea is you want to be a governor to serve the people. And then your people sees you in your community, you are doing some things, you are with them and stuff. Even if you don't want to run, they will tell you that if you want to run, they are ready to support you.
Mm-hmm.
I had that issue when I was back home because one thing that is once you are a political appointee, you automatically becomes a card carrying member of the party that is in
Yeah.
government. And then that means you are mandated to always go to your local government, especially your
Are
ward.
you is that man? Because I remember
It
in
is mandatory.
I think what was the former in Boris tenure the minister of I don't think she had a party.
No, you have to. You become a card carrying member of the party in government.
So the
Except
even ministers.
for ministers. Ministers are already party members. That's why they are given ministerial
I don't.
positions.
I remember like I was researching on like Boris government. I think it was his second tenure.
You will have a card carrying party. You become
That
so
was
like
interesting.
you
Okay.
carry the party, the card carrying party of the state you're coming from.
Okay.
You're automatically a card carrying member of the state because your ministerial position is based on states.
Okay.
For Nigeria is based on
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
states. So whoever is the governor, whoever is the ruling party, is the
Yeah.
person that nominated you
Mm-hmm.
for that state. So you are giving nominations is state by is by
But don't you
different from
think that is
different states.
flawed? In the sense of like you so there might be people that might be I mean technocrats in quotes,
No
right?
technocrat.
Eh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like if it technocrats by definition do not necessarily want to be
I,
allied.
I I am a technocrat. I always when I say I am a technocrat, somebody looked at me and was like, "Don't ever say that again. You are a politician." I'm like, "I'm not a politician. I came in just to do prog." But that is why I'm telling you that when you get in there, you learn a lot of things.
Okay.
You cannot be an island because once you have given a position in a state, it's because you are from that state.
Okay.
And then once your people in your local government knows and your ward, your community knows you are from that place, they want you to come home. So you become their mouthpiece in government.
How do you and I think this is a difficult question and I
Mm.
understand it's a difficult question, but like how do you so obviously when we say political parties we generalize in the sense of like it's a big umbrella, right? And in
Mm-hmm.
the different states it might be paradoxical in the sense of like in one state the same political party might be doing something that
Mm-hmm.
in the other political like in another state they're doing the exact opposite.
So
How do you manage ambiguity and will I say so I don't want to make it like moral, but like how do you
mm,
manage just the ambiguity in the sense of knowing that at this stage, like my political party are not
mm-hmm.
necessarily perhaps helping people and might actually be like exploiting people in one area of the country, but in my own they might be doing great. How do you manage that? Like the knowledge of that being in the party.
Well, the point is, like I said, you have to be very diplomatic around what you do, and then don't forget that they are not the same human that is running the same states. They are not the same governor.
How do you communicate that to the masses, though?
Everybody have different values, and then each state has its peculiarity. Even in a state, different local government has they have different peculiarities. So there are tons and tons of history of things that happened that so you need to be so when you come in as a governor, a leader, a commissioner, or whatever. So I would say some things like you need to choose the battle you want to fight.
Mm.
You need to choose what is important. So if you want to do something now, you need to ask yourself, okay, I need this solve. How do I achieve this? So, for example, I've seen a case whereby when um someone comes into administration and the major thing they want to address right now that they want to deal with the first 2 3 years is 1 2 3 4 out of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So what the person does is find the people that can go headlong for those four things
Mm-hmm.
and then use the remaining four things as an appeasement of sorts for different issues that might come up, different people rearing up their head about different things that, okay, I'll put, where's your own candidate? Kind of like, let me put your own candidate here, let me put your own candidate here, let me use this too. So, but not forgetting that the major thing they want to solve, they already have the people to do that and the way they want to do it. So you choose your battle. You choose what you want to do. You cannot win every war. So if you are going to war, you should be very careful of what do I want to address now.
Is politics warlike to you?
Life itself is a war.
Why do you use that? Like, because I mean, the paradigm would determine like how you view reality at the end of
Like
the day.
what?
So, like the paradigm you choose, like if I think like life is a game, it's going to like be different from if I think life is war.
That is a war because I mean,
So
like
what's
your war. You waking up this morning is a war. Like you're very much alive. It's very okay. You're not sick. Nothing is. So
mm-hmm,
it's like you're worrying against different things on a daily basis. While you're
mm-hmm,
here smiling, some people are being bombed down in Israel or something or
mm-hmm.
in Gaza. So you're lucky to be alive. It's they woke up and they found war on a
But
daily
if it's
basis.
luck, is it war?
It's not luck. It's really nothing like luck. Really, so much like there's really not like luck.
So
So
what are
because
the
it's more like you have to make informed decisions.
so what about the people that you said, for example? I mean, somebody that unfortunately gets kidnapped or like gets bombed. Like, I'm guessing they have they are
Wait,
trying to make.
let me say something. Yes, some of these kidnappings is based to so you don't need to be a very top shot or whatever to be very careful that there's some security measures you put around yourself on a daily basis.
Mm,
So people just are making phone call, you're busy shouting on the phone, like what the hell? Do you know who's around you?
mm.
I know it's insane because that means you're living your life in like fear, being very conscious and being very but it's unfortunate that's the world we live in right now.
Mhm.
It's very unfortunate.
So
That's
being
the world.
pragmatic.
Yeah, to be kind of like looking and looking around and being very careful, extraordinary careful. That's the world we live in right now. You just need to live up to the reality of it.
Mm.
You don't put all your life on social media. I've heard of a case of robbers going to someone's house because what was she doing? She was just showcasing all the gold she has. So she was telling them, "Oh, I'm here right now, like cities on my neck." So the day the robbers went to the house, they knew she was not going to be around. But unfortunately, it was the husband and the kids they met. So they just told them, you know what? We are not here to do anything to you. We just came for the gold your wife was busy showing online.
Okay.
And we've forgotten that we're in the internet age. So even the people that are kidnapping and are doing things, they have access to internet.
Do you think the internet is good?
Actually, it is great, but it's the method of usage.
On a general, so my question is on a general pros plus cons equals to is the internet good or bad?
Of recent, there's a whole lot of bad things. There's a whole lot of bad things. And then the imagination of how men are going, how we are going as humans is unbelievable. It's
What do
like
you mean by that?
it's like people have sold their conscience off to a whole lot of different things. Like, how can I put it? You're building robots to. I'm not against you building robots to solve some issues, some challenges, but to replace humans. Who thought of that? One thing I learned from coming to Spain is I now cherish the communal living we have back home. I really cherish the whole idea of somebody. You see that nosy thing everybody's doing, checking on you. "Ẹ o, ṣàlàáfíà lẹ wà o." It's a
I
good
don't understand.
thing.
Is that what it
Like
means? It's a
checking
good
on
thing.
you, checking on
Egg
you.
pele
Actually,
or what?
Ekpele is hello, how
Okay,
are
okay,
you?
okay, okay,
Like the
okay.
way we see ourselves in church, and if you notice, like
Mm-hmm.
greeting
Yeah,
yourself,
okay, okay,
asking
yeah,
after you, looking after
yeah,
you, kind
yeah.
of
The small
like
talk.
the
Mm-hmm.
small talk. You are living in a building together. You know where
Yeah.
your neighbor is. I can easily knock your door, enter your room, and stuff like that. It is a blessing.
So Nigerians should not build
No, I'm
apartments.
saying the apartments in Nigeria.
Compounds should.
No, there are apartments in
Mm.
Nigeria. But I know when my neighbor is around, I can hear your voice, I can hear you talking or something like that. And I can easily just knock and say, "Hey, hi, it's been a while, I've not seen you, hope
Mm-hmm.
you're good," and stuff like that. Kind of like, but here, you can't just go knock people's door and like they're wondering. I think there was a period I didn't see my neighbor for like, for like 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
but she's in the house.
Mm.
So you see that communal living kind of like helps you, and it's human touch is very very overrated, underrated right now with the use of technology. Like, and I see it going around. People go for dinner, about 8 people, and everybody's busy on their phone before they bring the food. And I'm like, so why did you go out of your house and decide to say let's meet for
So we should
dinner?
establish laws. As you're entering the restaurant, drop your phone inside the
Oh my
basket.
god, everybody, my friends know.
Oh, when they go out with you,
When you are in my house or you come to
you
my house,
must drop your phone.
I'll just do like this. Excuse me?
Give me your phone.
I'll pile the phone somewhere.
That was a good
We're
way.
here to have a conversation because
Mm-hmm.
I missed your company. I missed
Mm-hmm.
you. And so I like, talk to me. What's going on? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a conversation with you. That's why I left my house to come hang out with
Mm-hmm.
you. So when you're with me, there's no checking up a phone. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So what do you think? Like, this is Fumi is the god of technology, and she can determine whatever can be done with technology. Hypothetically, what will you have done, knowing what you know now? Like, what will you have done with technology's uses? That is like, what will you have allowed human beings to do with
Well, I can't be
technology
a
and with
technology
phones?
girl forever, but I mean, we should use technology to help solve some problems
Ah,
of
such as
people. Like, we're still looking for cure for cancer,
okay.
not creating virus. That doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
because that was one of the setback of the fallback of COVID.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very debatable
Yeah,
statement.
so I mean, so the point is, when you're testing some things, can you know the limits of how far you can go? You don't test God. I know some people don't believe in God; they believe in science, fact,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. But the fact, whether you like it or not, your
But medicine progressed because of human abuse, and like literally 100 years back,
I know.
the Nazis were the smartest bunch of one of the smartest bunch of medical people, but
Mm,
one of their agendas, literally, which progressed medicine, even though like
mm,
it's a shame,
mm.
they literally tested human
And do
beings
you know how many
brutally.
generations of your family are still suffering for that shit till today?
Yeah, but medicine has progressed because of that thing.
Medicine has progressed
In
so
quotes.
much, but the fact is, can you just ask yourself when you wake up that if I'm to do this, this is me now. What about my children in 20 years' time? Then my generation yet unborn in 40 to 50 years. How would this affect them positively, negatively? How? So I think if you can sit down and answer that question as
Yeah.
it progress, it will guide the way you make things.
To be more
To
long
be
game
very
oriented.
more conscious of, we need to be more self-aware of the repercussions of our actions. Which is why even till date, mental health that everybody's screaming and shouting about is as a result of things that were done like 2 generations, 3 generations before the present generation. they had no they were not aware, they had no knowledge about some of those things. But it's a ripple effect that came over time, and it's now here to stay with us. So, and then if you look at it, a whole lot of things, you wake up in the morning, you find children committing suicide. You find, so it's very depressing on its own that the things that could have helped, we're using it to cause ourselves harms. And it's just because someone was not. I know, when you create something very interesting and the whole world, the camera lights and action, camera lights action is on you for a while. Your ego it steps in, and kind of like, yes, you think you're a god.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the last moment, really,
Mm-hmm.
you get tired of it yourself, but the deed has been done.
What do you think of the future of Nigeria and humanity?
I love my country and I love Nigeria.
Oh, such a
So
patriotic.
no, it's not because of anything, but it's just
What is
unfortunate.
that? What does love for nation mean? Like, because Nigeria is not. What is Nigeria? Like, what is a Nigerian? Who is a Nigerian? Is it because you carry passport? Like, what makes you Nigerian? So when you say I love Nigeria, what
I love
exactly?
the country, like the people, the things around. So when I was back home, I travel a lot. I I run a travel. I have an Instagram page where I showcase a
What's
lot
your
of.
Instagram page? So I don't know.
My Instagram page is Fumi Ajala Travels. So out
Okay,
of 36 states in Nigeria, I think I've been to like about 26,
okay,
between 24 and
that's
26.
above average. You're in the top
Yeah,
5%.
in Nigeria, because I just found something very interesting about it. But another thing that people don't understand is governance does not really work the way we assume it works, because there are a whole lot of hidden layers down to when you get into government that you realize it's there. And then, like I said initially before, you choose your battle. Which one do you want to choose? And then, when I gave him the definition of
Democracy.
democracy, it's very important and I'm talking to anybody that's working in government as a civil servant, you are the custodian of government, not the politicians.
By the people.
No, because in case anybody does not know, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of this, but a commissioner does not sign a check in any ministry. It's the permanent secretary who is a civil servant. A minister does not sign a check to say, go and buy this. It's the permanent secretary who is a civil servant. So the president of the country does not sign check. He does not. So how did we get here when the custodian of democracy did not understand their own values? They don't understand what they are supposed to do as custodians of democracy.
Do you think PAMSEC should also be a political position in the sense of election?
No.
If
There's
they are
a
the
reason. There's a
custodians,
reason why they are career civil servants.
but if they have done this,
It's their job. So
but if those meant to do the job are not doing the job, don't you think there should be a way we alter it to enhance people's lives?
so let me explain something to you. For the civil service, I think it starts with the way they are trained.
Okay,
So there's the college I was trying to remember the other day is called ASCON.
okay,
It's a administrative staff college. It's
okay,
in Topo in Badagry.
okay,
So if you're a civil servant, most of your levels exam and whatever, they take it in ASCON.
okay.
I'm not sure when they've revisited the curriculum for ASCON.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for civil service to be restructured to get them up to date to a whole lot of things, I think the first needs to start with their curriculum to get them up to date to a whole lot of different levels.
What is one thing that if they asked you today, like, add this to the curriculum, what is one thing you add to the civil service curriculum? Or two?
Digital literacy and
What do you mean by that, though?
digital literacy, like being aware of the usage of how to use a lot of softwares, computer to make their job easier and fast, and then the usage of AI instead of being bent on carrying files. A lot of
But don't you think that will
industries.
remove a lot of jobs? Well, how would you compensate? Because a lot of the jobs are redundant in the sense of people
So
carrying
this is the
files.
point. This is the reason why you need to get up to date. See, we have stopped growing because we've stopped learning.
But what I mean is that, like, you're going to remove. So the people, government, if you become a civil servant, in quote, you're protected in a way. How are you going to repurpose people
There are
to?
so many jobs that are missing. that is not being done because a lot of things are not computerized. Okay, for instance, you have people that are trained in the area of database
Yeah.
to create stuff. So every form that the government is doing, any system, you can
So the
easily
open
create.
governance that you did,
Yeah,
yeah.
now like you can easily create databases, create things, and so there's a team of people facing that. There's a team of people managing the network security of the state.
Mm-hmm.
That is a branch that needs a whole lot of different people, and that means each parastater, because each state can have up to about 10 different ministries that houses about 500 staffs each.
Mm. So like
You understand?
5,000
So the
stuff.
reason why we kept that thing in Nigeria is, I will say it, if you want to come for me, it's okay. I see civil service as the highest social security scheme in Nigeria.
Okay.
That is why they are giving you 30,000, you're still shouting. Because you barely do anything. It's just take. Just be going every day.
Mm.
I see it because I've seen it. I walked into an office on a Monday morning and I saw them, they were concentrating so much. I was wondering, like, I thought maybe I busted into a meeting. I walked in on them having a meeting. Then I walked in to see the person I wanted to see, and I came out. Then I realized something. I noticed, I observed around before I stepped out of the room, that they were all facing one direction. And I was expecting to see someone in that direction talking to all of them. Guess what they were all doing? They were watching African Magic at 10 a.m. on Monday morning.
How? I mean, so it's clear. I mean, your story, your background. That first of all, you're very educated. You are also like you have a private driven mindset in the sense of like because efficiency, productivity, digitalizations, they tend to happen mostly from the private sector and then spills over into public
So
somehow.
this is the point. You know, an average person that finishes that enters the civil service have at least a secondary school degree. But if you want to start at a level that is a bit higher, they have a university degree.
Hmm.
So civil service is seen as a last resort option for somebody that does not want anything challenging. That's the way I say it.
Okay.
But at the same time, civil service can be very challenging if you make it very interesting.
So up the stakes.
But up the stakes. But because they've seen, I know of a family that all of them in their house, they are career civil servants. How? Father as civil servant, mother as civil servant, child went to school, went to university, came out civil service. Kilo day.
So you think it's wasted potential?
Of course it is.
Hmm.
Of course it is.
How do you think civil servants survive when we know that the salary is actually pretty low?
Okay, so the government makes available, they have unions, they have things. So this is what I know, but I know there is much more than that. But
So benefits.
they have access to loans, they have access to a couple of things.
Okay.
And then another thing they do is most of them have a side business by the side, which is why civil service administration is suffering.
Because the
So
business is more
somebody
important
come in
than
the morning and just feel, so some offices they sign register. So the person signed the register, carry the bag and put on the chair with a jacket and disappears to the shop
mm,
that they have outside. The people come, they want to get things done. There's nobody to attend to them because the person that is responsible is not on seat. And then people are covering up. Ah, oh, you just went out. Oh, you should that's the bag there. And the bag sits there for the next 5 hours.
the bag is in the functions.
Goes. So I either came in the morning, I wanted to you to help me attend to something, and then when somebody comes and report them to their immediate superior, they start feeling somehow. But the question is, what you are paid for? Have you been able to do it? And remind you, their job is just 9 to 4 o'clock.
But so, do you think? I mean, obviously, it's a vicious circle in the sense of if you make the tasks very non-stimulative, I would say, or well, I mean, it's stimulative and like challenging is relative. Some people that is a challenging job because, but like for people like yours, it's not. Um, do you think perhaps if you make the salary better, then people will be more interested, or you make the job more challenging, then people will have to sit up?
So let me explain something to you. Even if you make the salary much more better, something has become your way of life.
So habit is the
To
problem.
change an habit is going to be pretty crazily hard.
So do you think the problem? I'm so sorry for interrupting you so much, but like from what you have said, it now sounds like the problem of Nigerian politics is a problem of habits, in the sense of where we are. Our habit to politics is in a way that allows us to do the things that we have always been doing without changing.
Because you cannot, how will I put it? You cannot, there's a saying, and I think it's a quote, that you cannot do the same thing all over and over again and expect a different result. That's got stupidity of the highest order. Which is one of the reasons our initial conversation around fuel subsidy removal and everything. It's going to be pretty hard for a year or so or two. Before it gets to the end of 2 years, the things will start shaping up for Nigeria. But because we are economically, Nigeria is so blessed. Like, it has a lot of economic potential.
Yeah.
But we're leaving a lot of money on the table due to selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So if Nigeria builds its tourism sector, I'm a bit passionate about tourism because it hurts to see us leaving a minimum of about, say, like 15 to $50 million daily on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about a month. I'm talking about daily across the whole 36 states in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaving that on the table. So it's a triple down effect of economic mad things for people.
Yeah.
So when you go somewhere as a tourist, your money goes into transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Your money goes into feeding.
Mm-hmm.
Your money goes into accommodation
Mm-hmm.
before you even think of buying gifts or souvenirs.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine the ecosystem in transportation,
Mm-hmm.
the ecosystem in
Feeding.
feeding,
Mm-hmm.
and the ecosystem in accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I was telling you. Any governor that tells you, I did road, they should smack the governor on the head
Mm-hmm.
because it's part of your to-do list as a
Mm-hmm.
governor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's infrastructural development in these three areas that can boost the economy of any state. And then developing, I would say, I tell people, I say, government has no business in tourism. But the business of government in tourism is to do,
The bare
to
minimum.
create the enabling environment, which is create policies that is not going to bite off the small and medium scale people,
Mm-hmm.
and then create the enabling environment, which is the infrastructure, lights, road. The two main things that Nigeria really needs right now is good lights, good roads, then you can have the internet access. You see, if Nigeria has those three things,
Good lights, good road, and internet
no,
access.
good lights, good road,
And internet access.
and internet access. That's
Light
good
road.
transportation system.
Mm-hmm.
Like road and rail. There's no reason why trailers are on the road.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up, you barely find trailers on the road growing up because the train was walking.
Mm-hmm.
So we have something we call the passenger train,
Yeah.
and then we have something called the goods train. We call it woro woro.
Okay.
And I was growing up.
Okay.
So if you are
Woro.
woro woro, it's called woro woro.
Okay.
So
I'd never heard about
are
woro
you
woro.
serious?
No. I'm exposing myself too much. I'll just keep quiet. Okay.
So woro trains, actually, they are derelicts. If we go to train stations, they are
Okay.
like museums of trains right
It
now.
has become a museum.
It's like, because like museums of train, every train station you find them. There are this train that looks like carriage. The ones you used to watch in a cowboy movie where
Okay,
they put
okay.
goods.
Yeah.
That is the same thing we had.
Okay.
So you put all your goods in there. So you
And
go by
transport
road
it.
or you enter the passenger's train to go ahead, because the woro will come is like a day or 2 days late
Mm-hmm.
after the passenger's train. So you take the passenger's train and go ahead.
Okay.
And then you wait for your
Woro
goods
woro.
to come. Then you take another small truck to
Yeah.
carry your goods and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things we should, but because I think the challenge in Nigeria is every governor wants to stamp their name on a project, forgetting it's a democratic system. Whatever project you are doing is for the people, and there should be continuity. That's why we have a lot of half-baked projects up and down in the country, which doesn't make sense. Because when you were campaigning for the people.
Mm.
So what you need to do is, if your predecessor started a project,
Yeah.
and you've seen, because I believe you were in the party when they were doing this thing, because you didn't come from it somewhere. You didn't jump. You were in the same party.
Yeah.
Or even other party, but you were in the state and you were saying this.
Yeah.
So take your own assessment. Which one should we continue? And which one should we change the course?
Mm.
So that will leave you just abandoning or leveling up just about 2%.
Yeah.
Or about 3%. So you make good use of 97% of the previous project and you continue building on it, which will save you money to channel into other things, to start one or two projects of your own. Within your first 2 years, you would have completed that one and then start your own. And that gives you a amount to negotiate for another term. So whatever it is you really want to do, you still have 4 more years to achieve it.
Do you want to enter into politics? It's a serious question. You have tasted, you were private, entered into politics as an
Yeah.
appointee. Do you think you will venture into politics?
Then one of the things I really want to do is really be able to impact change, and the change
Ayeseka.
the change for me is I really want to be the first female president, female Senate president for Nigeria.
Senate president.
Yes,
As
a
a twist.
huge lofty one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because a whole lot of things can be done,
Mm-hmm.
Nigerians' issues right now is being very decisive about policies.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have problem implementing anything. Don't let anybody deceive you in our country.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Nigeria is one, putting effective policies into place. Implementing it is not really an issue. It's the sustainability of the effectiveness that becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have a lot of white elephant projects lying up and down across the country.
But when you make a policy, shouldn't you consider the sustainability of this policy in itself?
Oh, that is supposed to be the case.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. When you were building Tinapa, I was a youth corp member in Cross River State.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of friends.
Yeah, NYC in Cross
Yeah,
River.
I do
Okay.
my own Cross River. So I was.
You did enjoy Cross River?
As a story father, this is the longest.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I can't believe
Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, fine.
I
Yeah.
need to go.
Okay.
So the point is, so when they were building Tinapa, I was opportunity to have a conversation with these guys and we start talking and stuff. So I asked them a question. They were so happy. Donald Duke was building Tinapa. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. I just asked them a question. I said, some of you are good with politicians and stuff, but I have a question for you. Can you ask your governor to give you a 20-year, let's not even say 20, can he give you a 15-year sustainability plan for Tinapa? If he has it in tow that it survives his tenure, and after him, any other governor that comes in can continue and do things.
So what you're saying is that
then
we
I
should
will
demand
know.
demand
Another thing,
sustainability plans for projects.
let me give you another example. How do you think Lagos have been able to do the traffic system?
City boys.
No, I'm talking about the blue line, the
Yeah.
red line.
Oh, okay.
So let me bust your bubble. There's a 30-year plan for Lamata.
Oh wow, okay.
It's a blueprint in Lamata's office. This I knew as far back as 2009, 2010. I saw the blueprint for the blue line bus, the red line, even the railway. I saw the blueprint.
Okay.
And what they did was they were able to make it effectively into law. So no matter who the governor is that comes in, must continue the Lamata projects. There's a law binding it. That is why Tinubu was the one that did the BRT lane on Third Mainland. Tinubu was the one that bought the buses, the first blue buses and red buses. It was Fashola that commissioned the bus during his tenure and bought the red line and started the railway projects. But they continued the railway projects and built the stations for the buses and stuff. Now Sanwo-Olu's commissioning the red line rail.
It's connected.
So it's a straight. You pick it up and you continue. You pick it up and you continue.
But don't you? I mean, it is a case study, but at the same time, don't you like there's still a connection? Like there's an obvious connection in the sense of like, first of all, the influence of all these people are somehow connected to themselves.
No, not the influence, because if you look at history, all of them have worked in the civil service in Lagos. They've worked in government. Fashola was was a chief of staff. Ambode worked in finance office in Lagos State. Sanwo-Olu worked in another sector in
Yeah.
Lagos State. So they were all part of the system from inception.
So what you're saying is that technically for the sustainability of these projects and plans, we should also try to maintain the
Because
people around it.
people that know about it. So you don't really need to know. So if you're a new governor, the first thing you do, the first 1 month, so far the day they say you are elect,
Start learning.
like pick all the brains available for everything. For the next 60 days, you lock yourself in different meetings, like learning about that thing. If you are open to learning and you are ready to learn and you are able to discern the good people around you, you will succeed. It doesn't really need to be, because some people, when they get used to being in a position, they become gods unto themselves. You don't need those kind of people. So there's nobody that is indispensable. Nobody should feel they are gods. No.
But don't we need gods amongst men?
Anyway, did I start this thing
My
with
final
Musa,
question,
like serious Musa?
my final question, and then we'll be done. Like, maybe it's a bit existential.
Shit.
You can answer it in 2 minutes. Like, what do you think the point of life is? Life is a very. Yesterday, I was walking literally back to my house, and it was at night. I was seeing the cars. I was seeing, like, it was cold. There was a like lake by the side. I saw a man with a dog just walking by. I just realized, like, life is such and I'm a conscious being in terms of, like, I know what is happening. Like, I'm walking and I know what I'm doing. And so, like, it's so interestingly absurd at the same time. Like, it's interesting, meaningful, and pointless. Like, it's all connected. So for you, like, what from your experience of life, because I mean, it was a million race and you won the million. For you, what is like life, and what do you understand it to be, like the point of it?
Well, number one, I'm a person of faith, so I'm going to pick it a bit from the faith side, and then growing up, and then I think the Bible says we're created in the image of God.
Okay.
So, and then looking at God Himself, like looking at Christ, which is Jesus Christ Himself.
So what is the image of God for people that don't understand? What does he mean by that?
Like you are gods, actually. You are created as
So gods
gods.
amongst men.
Yeah,
So gods amongst gods.
Well, actually gods.
Okay.
Like I'll tell you, I'm the king's daughter. I'm the king's kid.
Okay.
God is my father. But a lot of what happens to us in life is as a result of us not being aware of our capability and our capacity as humans. And then there's some things. There's God, and then don't forget, you have the devil, you have temptation, you have things which is part of being human. Because when you read the Bible, men were so gifted and curious. The Tower of Babel and every other thing. So of this year, I started doing a year plan, which is reading the Bible from Genesis all over again. And then at one point, I sat and I like, God, back then the temple was, there must be an abattoir near the temple, because you sneeze, you commit an offense, you go and bring dove, ram, castle, like everywhere was bloody. Like I was just having that imagination in my head, like everywhere must be very bloody. Like there must be an abattoir near the temple or something. Like how? And then when you read the New Testament, you say it's grace that He accorded us. So life itself is meant to be lived, and but not lived carelessly, because we have to be, like you said, a conscious being. We have to realize that level of awareness fast and know how to live in that awareness, which involves different values as a person, and then how do you interact with other people in accordance to that value that you think you hold. And then that's just the rules of life. The general rule is: one, honor your father and your mother. Two, love your neighbor as yourself. But how many people even love themselves to be able to love their neighbor? Some people don't even understand what loving yourself.
What's loving yourself? How does Fumi love herself?
Oh, Fumi love herself.
How?
Girl. So I wake up in the morning.
Fumi.
I know, not facials. I wake up in the morning. I say my prayers. I'm grateful. I look out. I'm able to prepare a cup of coffee. I drink. I look at myself for today, and then
no coffee today, though. Continue.
I look at myself and
In a mirror.
To sit down. No, let's just take in
Self-reflection.
fully
Yeah.
what it is. And I'm grateful. I had a conversation with a friend. And I was like, I need you to be very aware of what you say to yourself, which is one thing that's been coming over and over again as a message. Like, what do we say to ourselves? We become what we say
To ourselves.
to ourselves. So, being conscious of what I say to myself, being conscious of how I treat other people. So, one of the things I've learned over time in this last 18 months is patience.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize is as a result of even environment and people around you.
Yeah.
So it's patience, and then I realize it's up to you to react. It's not everything you need to react to. So how do you react to things?
Yeah.
You need to be very aware of, I don't need to react.
Yeah.
So this kind of things, and so I love myself, and like I've made up my mind. Nobody's going to stress me. You can't stress me.
No agree.
If I'm not doing, I'm not doing.
No agree.
It's not about no agree. That no agree. I will say something to you later. I'm not saying that to you.
I agree. Okay, I agree.
So the point is just to be you.
Okay.
And I think life it's fun. It's meant to be lived. Life happens to people. Life happens to us. But when we look at it, like how life happened to us is as a result of some things. And like I said, I'm a person of faith. But some things need to happen to you for you to learn some things and for you to get from where you are to the next phase. So you might be going through some things now and you're able to pass through it, but I need you to sit back and reflect on what were the learnings, what were the lessons for this. The reason why you pass through what you pass through won't be clear to you in a month or 2 months, but probably like 6 months down the line, you realize the lesson that, it becomes, when you have like a deja vu moment as if you've experienced this before. That is what is happening.
So life is just deja vu's waiting to occur.
It's just like it's moments within moments. So you just need to be able to understand how do you take it every day. Because sometimes I wake up and I see like, oh, this person is dead. I'm like, wow.
Life is a memory bank.
So and life itself, this earth is full of. So if you feel like doing something or you have a nudging to do something, stand up and do it immediately. Because if you don't put that idea to use, somebody else will start it. That's how we keep saying, oh, and I thought of that thing, doing to my team. It's not your team, because when the idea came to you as the person to
do it,
you didn't do it. So it has to move to someone else to do it.
I came knocking at your door, but you did not answer.
All right.
Thank you so much for me.
I can't believe this. Like, almost 2 hours.
Thank you so much.
I was like, how many
Yes, sir.